Howdy y'all, Unky T here. Today I'm going to give you a little brief tour of the Kings Bay and Three Sister Springs in Crystal River, Florida. And for those of y'all who aren't familiar with the area, which I'm sure that's probably most of you, you'll see here that the Crystal River runs out to the Gulf of Mexico. And this spot over here on the right hand side looks like a big opening there. That's Kings Bay. Now Kings Bay is about 600 acres and it's all fresh water. And even though you can see it's connected directly to the Gulf of Mexico at a couple of spots there, it stays fresh water, or sweet water they call it here, because there's over 55 named springs in Kings Bay and thousands of little ones they didn't even bother naming. And together they put out about 300 million gallons of water every day, of fresh water. And that's what keeps the salt water out in the Gulf of Mexico. Now here we are. I'm going to start off over here. This is coming out of the plantation area, plantation resort. It's a beautiful looking day, as you can see, nice sun coming up. And we're heading out towards Kings Bay itself. Now right here, this is what you call the Port Hotel. That's kind of famous because back in 1961, a feller by the name of Elvis Presley stayed there when they were filming a movie that they filmed in Citrus and Levy County, and they used a bank up in Ocala there for one of the locations. But the movie was based on the book Pioneer Go Home. Now, I don't know if anybody knew this movie, but it came out in 1962, and it's called Follow That Dream. It was filmed, like I said, ostensibly in Levy County, but the Elvis and the crew stayed right there at that Port Hotel. There's more stories on that later, but here we are going out into Kings Bay. Another, like you say, another beautiful Florida day. You can't beat the weather in Florida most days. Now, one thing I will say is when you're going out to do a Manatee tour or anything like that, you might want to go on a low tide, you know, like within an hour of the low tide, either side, high, you know, coming or ebbing or flowing, because what happens is the water level drops, and that means that the water will clear out because all that fresh water coming out of the springs pushes outwards in towards the Gulf. And so that clears the water out and it gives you really good visibility. And that way, you know, you can see a lot better when you're in the water with the Manatee. Now you can see all these boats that are sort of anchored out there in Kings Bay. Florida isn't a salvage state. And so people will come and park their boats there and leave them there and use them as cottages, and it doesn't cost them nothing. And here's our feller that we've all come to see, the Manatee. Now this is a West Indies Manatee. There's three types. There's African, there's the Amazonian, and there's this one here. This one here is kind of friendly. He liked this feller. He's kind of hanging on, and he wouldn't let go for a while now. When I saw that, that was kind of the most funny thing I'd seen in a while. But he really took a shine to this fella, and he held on for closing in on half an hour. It was quite a sight to see. But that was in the early part of the winter when they all first came back, and when they do that, they kind of miss the people, you know. And as you can see on his flipper there, he's got the three. They have 3 to 4 fingernails. They use them to walk along the bottom when they're eating. You probably saw that on the video, the one that was chomping away there in the grasses. They are related to the elephant. They figure about 41 million years ago, they kind of diverged paths, and these fellers wanted to be back in the water, so off they went. And that's their story, and they're sticking to it. Now, I don't know. Now, they are smooth-brained just like the elephant, and that means they have a fantastic memory. They can migrate all the way up to Mobile Bay from here, and they can remember where every little spring of fresh water is in the Gulf because they need fresh water to live. And hanging on for dear life. Hey, how you doing? This here is Three Sisters Springs. The Three Sisters Springs is world famous for its clear water, its beautiful scenery. It's just like a little lagoon that you go into and you swim around with the manatees, or depending on the time of year. In the off season, which is like the end of April to in November, you can kayak in there and whatever. But the water on the low tide, remember I was talking about the tides. On low tide, the water's pretty clear. Like right here, you can see that's pretty low tide. And there's a manatee fella logging in the water there, having a sleep. Now manatees, they breathe air like you and me, and they sleep underwater. They're down for about 15 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes. They'll just naturally rise up to the surface to breathe. They don't wake up or anything like that. It's just like you laying in bed, you know, you don't stop breathing because you're sleeping. Well, neither do they. So they'll be there logging in the middle. They could be laying on the bottom, or they could be, you know, back up against the surface. You just don't know, you know. Like you sleep on your side, on your back, or on your belly. Same thing with these fellers. They're not fussy. Now you see that big paddle tail there? I was out kayaking one day and one swam underneath me. These fellers are slow moving in general, but if scared, they can bolt at about 30 miles an hour, 25 to 30 miles an hour. And you know, they just don't wait around to get hit by boats and what have you. Because quite frankly, there's three things in basic that kill manatees other than old age. And that would, number one is cold. Because the cold is the number one killer of all manatees. And that's why they come to the springs in the wintertime, because the water is always 72 degrees. And so they can keep warm there. Now, number two killer is blunt force trauma from boat hulls. And as you can see from this feller here, they can get pretty big. This one's about 12 feet long, 13 feet maybe. Yeah, they can be up to a ton. Now, they live generally 50 years or so in the wild, and that's not too bad for an animal. Just sits around eating 5 to 6 hours a day. So as y'all probably know, they are adorable, and they are the most gentle creatures in the world. Like, I mean, there could be a little pup one closest to the vent where the warm water's coming out, and a great big bull come by and you go, oh, you're there already? All right, you keep that. They don't bully them out or nothing. They just you know, get along. You know, I think we all can learn a little bit of something from the manatee. I don't want to be going on too long on this here. I got lots more information about manatees for you if you want it. I'll do another video sometime in the future when it's not so dang hot out. And I'll take a kayak tour all out through there and get you some better pictures of Three Sisters Springs and some more manatee pictures and what have you. Now, if y'all like to get some more of these, please click the subscribe, the ring the bell thing, like it if you like it, put a thumb down if you don't like it, put a comment, let me know what you think. And you know, it doesn't take that much work to click a button. You know, it sure would help me a lot if y'all just wanted to subscribe, and that way you won't miss out on the upcoming videos that I'm going to be putting out. Anyways, that's all I got to say on that. Y'all might recognize this picture. That's the one I use for my logo. It's a beautiful sunset. I like the sunsets down this way, yeah, because they're all beautiful. And so I'd like to thank y'all very much for coming along with us to learn a little bit of something about manatees and Crystal River and Kings Bay. I hope y'all learned something, and I hope y'all enjoyed yourselves. I'd like to say have a blessed day, and y'all take care of yourselves and take care of each other, and we will all be seeing each other as soon as we can. God bless, and bye for now.